will be joining us are postgraduate students, honors, PGCE, and maybe fourth years as well. Any other people who might want to join us, so that at least we get some knowledge on how you guys went about and what are the challenges or the advantages of wherever you are. The students will be allowed to ask you questions. Yeah, it's not going to be a formal thing. I just want you guys to be free to talk to our guests, Mr. Musawenkosi, Messi, Nyamase, Kaili Fengema, Andile Kunene, Nompilo Vilagazi, and Oguhle Path. They will tell us where they are, how did they go there, how did they apply, and how much they get paid.
I
I think that's what most of us would want to hear. How much are they getting paid? Is it the same rate as South African schools? So, okay, guys, let me welcome everyone who is here. I'm recording the session. I will share with the RAs and yourselves after the session. We're not gonna have a formal talk. Just talk to us, motivate us, encourage us. As students at Edgewood, like you guys, you studied at Edgewood before, you know the struggle and you know how they can step out of the struggle stage they are in. Thank you. Anyone can start, guys. I don't want it to be formal when now I'm asking, but remember we have 40 minutes. Let us not take that long while we are talking and then, yeah. Mr. Ngema in China, tell us. Yeah, remember
Okay.
the questions that I sent you guys, just the conversation will be based on those.
I forgot the questions, hey? But I'll try to cover them.
It doesn't matter, yeah. Just
greetings to everybody. I hope everybody is okay. Igama lami nguKhayelihle Wangema. Obviously I was a student at Edgewood UKZN, did my honors. I'm currently based in China, Shanghai, China. It's amazing. It's really amazing just being here. Everything is fast paced. Everything, the technology is amazing. It's incredible. Just a little bit of how I got here, information on how you possibly could come here. Firstly, you would need your TEFL certificate. I think everywhere you go, if you want to teach international, my colleagues will correct me, but you need a TEFL certificate. You also need, obviously, your degree. You need to authenticate your degree for validation reasons, for them to be able to see that it's an authentic certificate. You also need a police clearance certificate, which basically proves or shows that you have no criminal record. That also has to be authenticated via DIRCO, which is like a company that's in charge of authenticating documents. So you have to authenticate your degree, your police clearance, and what else? I forgot. But I think it's those two that are really major. Obviously, you also need your passports and your visa. It's not too costly to get your passports. I think my visa cost around 1.2. The whole process, if you're gonna go through it with an agent, it's gonna be a bit costly because most of the places you need to send your documents to are not based in KZN. They are around Pretoria. Again, my colleagues will correct me wherever I go astray. So myself, I got an agent that did everything for me. They would send my documents. They'd revert back to me and tell me, this is how far we are. I had to pay for the documents and obviously pay for the agent services. I don't really remember how much it was, but there was approximately 10,000. I don't mean to scare you, but it was approximately 10,000 rands. I traveled to Joburg. I took the more expensive route. I flew, but you can take a bus to get my visa, my work visa. So after you have all those documents, obviously you need to produce your CV and you need to have a self-introduction video, which basically you are selling yourself to the agent or the school internationally. And I was very fortunate to get an agent that is really supportive. They waited for me. The process took about in July, August. It's about 6 months. It took about 6 months. So if you really interested and you're really passionate about going abroad, you have to be very patient. You have to understand that it's going to be a very frustrating process, and it will require you to wait and require you to just get over the excitement of I've gotten an offer, but now you have so many steps to get past. Getting to the questions that Mr. Shao sent me or sent us. Firstly, I experienced cultural shock a lot. I think it was more because I was alone. I came to China alone. I didn't really know anybody. I had to get everything done by myself. Firstly, obviously, the language, a huge language barrier. It's an ukuthi sokhuluma isingisi and must understand, but that's not the case. Most of the places here, when it comes to buying food, house appliances, you have to obviously either translate or get somebody that's gonna speak on your behalf to everybody. So the food, firstly, for me, it was crazy because like I think everybody was asking me, would say, "Udla amaxoxo lapho?" Yabo, the crazy stuff. But mostly what I was eating was noodles. That's like one thing that they really love here. It was noodles and dumplings. I eat dombo. Like I know when I say dumplings, people eat dombo. I don't know how I can explain it, but they love dumplings. So I got to a point like sisami singasafuni lutho nje sengibona ukuthi lezi zinto zala ayisangeni. So I think I spent a month ordering burgers, ordering McDonald's, ordering Burger King, nakhona futhi kwagcina sekungibika. So and my stomach it didn't really get you. I was bloated. Nje ngihlezi ngiqunjelwe isisu because of the food. So that's another thing you guys have to be really prepared for. I got here during winter. The winter here is ridiculous. It's bizarre. It would hit -2, -5, -7. So I think, man, you got to kind of recover from the flu. I think I've gotten flu like 5 times already, and I've only been here like 3 months. So it takes some time for your immune system to adjust and adapt to the environment, and your your body to also adjust to the food and everything. So when you come here, if you've got like minor sicknesses, make sure you cater for yourself. If you have like skin problems, make sure you need to bring sufficient skin products that will sustain you until you're able to find products as well now in China. The other question is, I forgot the other question.
It's fine, Kaya. You'll come back when the other person is spoken.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope the students
Okay.
or everyone who's here, you're writing down the questions that you would want to ask them as they are sharing their experiences with us. We spoke to Mr. Ngema, who is in China. Yeah, he mentioned that you need an agent. There was cultural shock. You just write down the questions that you might have for them. Just say that I've got a question for presenter number 1 or Mr. Ngema or Miss Vilagazi or Miss Pasha or whoever. We've got an international experience. Can we come local but in a different province, and then we'll go back again international? Either Miss Pasha or Mr. Kunen.
I can go first. I can go first, Mr. Shang.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon to everyone. Ikamalam, my name is Andy Legunene, and I'm based in Gauteng. I'm based in Pretoria, in Tshwane West District, currently employed by the Gauteng Department of Education. I started working this site sometime last year. I moved from Durban. I was in Durban for a period of 6 months. And then I moved from Durban, came to Pretoria, and I'm based in Tshwane West right now. Now, the reason I moved from that side is basically the reason why most people leave KZN: unemployment, not having enough opportunities, or having a Department of Education not giving opportunities to teachers. I'm sure you are pretty familiar with the situation in KZN as things stand. So I was employed temporarily in KZN, and before my contract would even end, I was able to get a job this side. I was able to secure a job. I came as a substitute this side, but unfortunately, I was substituting someone who was sick. So when I came, the person unfortunately passed on, and my post was converted into temporal for a period of 6 months. After 6 months, it was converted into permanent. Now, some of the challenges that you face when you leave your home province or your home country is cultural change. A lot of things, there are a lot of changes. Gauteng is different from KZN. It's different from other provinces as well. You come this side, a majority of people do not speak the language that you speak, especially if you are in Pretoria, so to say. A majority of people decide they speak Sepedi, they speak Tswana, they speak Sesotho. So it becomes very difficult to adjust and adapt. So one of my challenges was getting used to the place, also learning the language. And even now, it's still a struggle. It's still a struggle learning the language, adapting to the culture, the way of life. It's different from what it is in KZN or back at home rather. So those are some of the challenges that I was facing this side. Now, I'm not only teaching in Pretoria. I'm also into online teaching. I also teach English online. So basically, I'm employed in 2 schools, one being Lotus Garden Secondary School here in Pretoria, second one being Native Camp where I've recently started. So you also have an opportunity, or you have an option to teach English specifically online if you want to. So instead of going to China, instead of going to Asia or wherever, if you want, you have that option to teach English online. And that is what I'm doing currently. So basically what you need to have is a TEF certificate, like Ukaye said. You need to have that certificate so as to prove that you are certified to teach English to foreigners, to people who speak as a second additional language. Also, you need to have your degree. You also need to have your degree. Also, you need to have a bit of experience, but it varies with institutions. For an institution I'm working for currently, they want you to have just 1 solid year of teaching. But there are many other schools that would want you not to have even a single year. As long as you have your certificate, as long as you have your degree, you can always enroll and you can always register. The process is quite lengthy. The process is quite long, so you have to be patient. You'll be asked to go for an interview. There will be an interview. There will be a test. You'll be given a test to enroll online. Once you pass the test, then they will check if you have everything in place. Do you have your headphones? You must have headphones. They'll also check if you have a stable connection to internet and all those things. And then you can start working from there. Now, if you are doing it part-time, you can earn roughly more than 10,000 per month if you are doing it part-time. But if you are doing it full-time, you can earn up to, or you can earn even up to 15,000 or even more, depending on the number of hours that you put in. So it's a very good opportunity, especially given the fact that you have a challenge in terms of employment, not only in KZN, but in South Africa as a whole. So you must consider online teaching as well. There are so many institutions where you can apply, others in Europe, others in Asia, and others are in South Africa. You can actually get a job where you are hired to teach online, but you report to a certain workstation every day. For instance, there's one in Umhlanga, one in Sentin, there's one in Johannesburg, where you are employed to work on, but to report to a certain workstation every day by this online. opportunity that is there and that can help us address the issue of unemployment in teaching or in education sector. I'm just talking about it so that you can be aware that it's not there are so many options that are there for you. You can either apply to come to Gauteng or any other province, or you can even teach online, or you can go to China. Now, when it comes to teaching in Gauteng uses a system. They recruit teachers through a system. They have their own system where they recruit. So you have to register online, and then they have a database. They take information from there, and then you are able to be captured and you are called for interview from that system. But not all schools use that particular system. Some schools, they prefer just sending post, and then they send you to, then they invite you for interview, and then they interview you, and then you are recruited from there. But I'd advise all those who are looking for employment currently to register on the database that they are using in Gauteng, because some schools, not all, some schools use that database where information is just held in one provincial database, and you can access, and it can be accessed by the districts at any time. Go into the database and take the teacher from there. So that is one other thing that you can register, you can enroll yourself into. Without going any further, I'll wait for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anila. Anila, when you went to Gauteng, you applied, you took your application physically or
it was saying we must submit physically, but it was not possible for me to submit it physically. I called and asked is it okay if I submit by an email, and they said yes, I can submit by an email. So I sent my staff through, and I emailed my staff there. But most of the institutions, or most of the schools rather, they prefer to have things submitted physically. And that's one other challenge with people who are not physically based in Gauteng. They're struggling to submit because in most cases, they want you to physically submit your things to their schools. But in my case, it was different. I was able to submit through an email.
Okay, well, I'll get back to you and ask you another question. Thanks, Anila, for sharing with us. Ogoshe, I see you have unmuted yourself. You can at least show your face and then hide again so that they see whom they are talking to, and then you can talk. Yes.
Hello, guys. Sanbonani. I'm Ogushe Phahla. I do not work overseas, definitely not. I work in the Northwest province, specifically in Rustenburg. I work at a school where our school is the best in the Northwest. Thank you very much. It's called Fields College. I'll just stick to the questions that I was given by Abuti Teboho. What inspired you to pursue teaching overseas or in another province, and how did you apply? It's quite a weird story. It was in 2020. I had gone back to complete my degree because I did not finish it on time. I was sick. So I had to go back to complete my degree. Then obviously I finished it in 2019. Then in 2020, I told my parents, I said, no, which is fine. Whatever I do henceforth, it's got to do with me and not to do with you. You have this thing that, okay, you know what? I've got this. Nobody can tell me now, you know. So I had that sort of attitude, and I wanted to continue with my honors. And there was COVID. Bam, there was COVID. I couldn't study from home. I deregistered my studies on the 6th of May, 2020. And my mother asked me one question. So where to from now? So what are you going to do from now? And then I told her, I said, nah, it's May, it's my birthday month. So I'll just relax for now. I'll relax. And then starting from the 1st of June, I'll start job hunting. And I did just that. I relaxed. And then on the 1st of June, I joined a group. There was a group on WhatsApp. It was for unemployed educators. And I saw this other post. It's not a post rather that comes from, or rather came from where I am right now, but it's from the previous school that I was working at for about 3 years to 3.5 years. So it was that post. No problem. I applied. Within 2 weeks, they called me. Mind you, when I had applied, I did not even bother telling my elders. I didn't. I just applied and I kept quiet because I knew that they were not for the idea of me leaving. Because number one, I am the only girl at home and I'm the last born. So I've got 4 brothers, then I'm the last born and I'm the only girl. So I already knew that they were going to say no. So I did get a job around KZN, but I wanted to experience a different environment in comparison to the one that I was used to, because I had always been used to being coddled. Because I was in Pinetown, people at home would pass by Pinetown when they went to order from the factories that were around there, because they have a few businesses. So then I used to do that. No problem. Then obviously I wanted to be alone. So that's part of the reason I just decided, okay, let me just go. So going back to the story, I received a call. It was around 3 p.m. Then I received a call. Of course, it's a 014 number and I'm from Durban. I'm a Durbanite, so I'm used to 031. So I'm like, okay, so what's happening here? And then I picked up and they told me that I had an interview. It was 2 days after. So I remember that day, I went to the living room. My mother and my grandmother were there. I sat down and I said, yo, and they looked at me, because now remember that COVID-19 was a critical time. So for them, it's like, okay, death, maybe somebody passed on. So then I said, no. Nobody actually passed on. But then I got a job interview in the Northwest province at Rustenburg. And my mother said, no, you are not going there. And besides, you have a job. So, and I was like, but I hadn't even started with that job. And my mother said, no, it really does not matter anyway. You are not going there. Who's going to take care of you there? In my head, I was like, no, I want to take care of myself. I want to learn how it's like to maneuver around life situations on my own and not with my family around me, because they had always just been around. And I just really wanted to be alone, because I knew that one day they were not going to be there and I was going to be alone anyway. So it's better to learn early than later. And I remember my grandmother, she's the one after 4 hours. I still remember that distinctly. She gave me a go ahead after 4 hours. That's when she said, yes, but there was a but. She said, yes, but for you to be able to go to Rustenburg, because another thing, I'm a female. At the time I was very young. They're still protective even now, but at the time I was still very young. And a lot of people would receive these calls or emails or SMSs from fraudulent people, and then they would be killed. So my family devised a strategy, and they said, okay, you know what? You are going to go to Joburg. Then your dad is going, because my dad lives in Joburg anyway. Then they said, your dad is going to take you from Joburg and he's going to drive you to Rustenburg and he'll wait for you there. No problem. That's exactly what happened. I went home to Joburg. My father took me from Joburg to Rustenburg. And before I even got into that office, he requested to speak to the management and obviously all the people that were going to interview me. And he told them only one thing. He said, if anything happens to my daughter, I'm killing you. That's it. And he stood outside and he waited for me. The interview lasted for about 8 minutes. Yeah, it lasted for 8 minutes max. It was very lovely. I enjoyed. I remember, because I was so nervous, I got tongue twisted. I think the answer, it was an example. It wasn't an answer, but I was trying to provide an example about something that revolves around an adjectival clause or whatever, something like that. I got tongue twisted because I was so nervous. And I tried for the second time. I tried for the third time. Oh my word. When I was trying for the fourth time, before I even tried, I just laughed. I laughed. Then everyone else laughed, because I knew everyone wanted to laugh. So, hey, I've already made a mistake. Let's laugh together. And yeah, they laughed. Laugh went on. I explained first. That's when it came back and I provided the response. So yes, that is how I ended up here. What were the most significant cultural differences you faced, and how did you adapt to them? Number one, they eat something that's called ting here. It's like pap, but it's It's made from brown maize meal and it's sour. So they eat that. That's basically their pap. And then they would eat beef stew or whatever. So how did I adapt to that? Nah, I didn't eat that, period. I didn't eat that. I didn't even bother. Another thing here is that, it's a predominantly Tswana or Tswana speaking province. And my mom is Sotho, by the way. So when I came here, I did know a bit of Tswana because during the holidays would go to Joburg to my father and my friends with Tswana, but obviously it wasn't that deep. It really wasn't that deep. It's especially when you live in KZN, because I'm from Durban. I speak isiZulu or English anyway, as usual. So here, they don't ask for something. They just tell you to do it. Like, for instance, let's say they want a ruler. They wouldn't say kikupa ruler. They'll say mpe ruler fo. So where I come from, in the household where I come from, that's considered as disrespectful. And also in the Sotho culture, it is disrespectful because you can't just say, give me that. You have to say kikupa. Well, how did I adapt to that? I taught them. And obviously, when a person doesn't use the phrase kikupa, meaning yatela, I wouldn't give them my things. And they know that's just how I operate. With that one, I really do not compromise. Another thing here, this one was a big culture shock for me. People generally lack in cultural practices. They do not know who they are. Of course, when you're from KZN, you already know. It's like, how kabazela ninjani, you know, even Basotho, you know, when you meet a Mufukeng, like all those things, we know each other. People know their clan praises. It's so beautiful because it's embedded in us. But around here, you'd ask, okay, so the Khalehis, who are they? And they just say, nah, I don't know. And they're just living. So for me, even right now, it still doesn't make sense. How did I adapt to that? I just accepted them for who they are. Another one, around here, people lack pride in their language. They do not know Tswana as we know isiZulu or as we know Sesotho, because even in their schools, like their good schools, there's English home language as usual, but then you'd expect perhaps Tswana fal, but here they don't have Tswana fal in their good schools. If you go to an ex-Model C school, unlike in KZN, where you've got a variety of subjects to choose from, you're forced to do Afrikaans. So you must know Afrikaans here. You must know Afrikaans, even when you don't teach Afrikaans. I don't teach Afrikaans, but ek praat no. I didn't have a choice. I really didn't have a choice because even boards would be written in Afrikaans in comparison to Tswana. For me, even when I came here, I could read Tswana because I didn't know Sesotho. So I could read Tswana. But I would expect to read things in Tswana and they'd be written in Afrikaans. So I had to learn Afrikaans here. When you speak English around here, they say that you're a coconut, which is quite weird because if you're from Durban, that's normal. It's normal. We just speak and it really does not matter. So moving to question number 3. Yes.
Can I end this one and then start it afresh? Guys, you log in with the same link because it gave